June 4th, 2026. We are located at Pulaski Park Fieldhouse at 1419 West Blackhawk. With that in mind, I'd also like to give thanks to our partners here at the Pulaski Park for accommodating us tonight. Which is kind of a special meeting in a sense that we shifted our regular meetings to Thursdays during the first Thursdays of the month, or earlier Thursdays of the month, I should say, during the summer months as a kind of a pilot to see how it works and see if the attendance picks up, and of course to reach more people. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Washrooms. The men's washroom is down here on the first floor, just out the exit sign here and to your left. Female washroom is upstairs on the second floor. There is an elevator here to accommodate the ADA compatibility. All right, moving forward, attendance. Councilor Orlikoff, I understand he's on his way, so we will wait for him, but Councilor Vargas.
Present.
And I'm Councilor Laurent. We do have 2 of 3, which means that we do have quorum. And we can conduct business on behalf of the 14th Police District Council. All right. All right, and privilege the agenda. I have reviewed the agenda.
No.
Okay, so no objections. We consider the agenda approved. So we will move forward with that as well.
Maybe we can delay to see if David has any comments.
We can pause on. All right, let's see. Approval of past minutes. I reviewed the minutes from our May 2nd, 2026. This was held at Logan Square Library, 3030 West Fullerton. And they've been provided to us by our wonderful staff member, Matt Duran. I have no objections or any objections or amendments.
Not for me, but also for David. If you have anything, we can delay that.
Okay, we'll go move into public comment then. Okay, public comment, as always, we're gonna take about 20 minutes total, giving each person with a public comment a total of 2 minutes per person. And we ask that we maintain decorum, that we don't have any personal attacks, and that remember that we need to watch our language because we are live streaming. Had many people provide me with their names ahead of time. And we will start with Sally Heyman. And for those that have mobility issues, we do have a wireless mic that can be brought to you.
Is there anyone who's interested in giving public comment who has not filled out a sheet yet? Okay. Then I love it.
Hi, I'm Sally Heyman, and I wanted to just briefly discuss the fact that there is now that towards the end of May, the city council voted to get rid of all the CPD officers who are tied to hate groups, far-right extremists, and January 6th participants. I was really excited to read that in the newspaper because here in the 14th district, we have an officer like that, Michael Nowacki, Sergeant. He's been in our district for several years now, who is an oath keeper. He had a trial in quotes from the BIA back in before 2024, where he was acquitted of everything. But he had all kinds of issues and concerns that still tied him to the oath keepers. I filed a complaint with COPA in 2024. And I was told that COPA did not have jurisdiction over issues like that. And they passed my complaint back to the BIA. So he was acquitted by them for the 2nd time. So I am very excited that with this new law, COPA now has administrative rights to hear cases like this. And I will be trying to bring if necessary, I'm not sure how this is exactly going to work, but if necessary, I will bring another complaint against him and hope that this time we can get him removed from the 14th district. Having an oath keeper who was an oath keeper for years, paid dues, had hundreds of emails, does not belong as a police officer, sergeant too, does not belong as a police officer in the 14th district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heyman. All right, next we have a microphone up here as well, those that are capable. Sharon Matt Connolly, did I get that right?
You got it. Okay.
Got a microphone right here, so you can be amplified and everybody can hear you.
Okay, hi, I'm Sharon. On May 16th, I was attacked at the park. The green space between Rosano and Rose School and my dog, I have a 10-pound dog and about a 55-pound dog attacked us at this time. So my dog escaped when I fell, the dog. And I'm sorry, I'm really nervous about this, but anyway, I picked my dog up and the other dog, she got my face, I fell on the concrete and I hit my face and my dog took off. I went to get my dog and, another witness was there. She approached the woman who had the dog is on retractable leash. I did get bit, I didn't realize I had gotten bit, I went to the ER the next day and I started the vaccine protocol. Which was pretty intense, I have to say. So then I went to file a police report and 2 days or the next day after I went to the ER and I filed with my car. I asked for a copy of the paperwork and he said, well, you don't get a copy of the paperwork, animal control, the animal control, they contact me. So I didn't get an SI number. So then I called Cook County Department of Animal and Rabies Control, talked to someone there, and they said that they can't do anything until both parties proceed. I tried calling Chicago Animal Control, but the man through the message said call 311. I called for 5 hours and couldn't get to 311 and just finally couldn't get away.
Okay, that's your time, ma'am. I'm sorry. Thank you for your comments.
I just want to say one thing, she had a big black on her bosom.
Can I submit this?
Yeah.
Absolutely, we'd love to. Take that animal.
We also have an email, EC14@citychicago.org.
Can you write that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, moving on, we've got next, oof. If I butcher these names, please forgive me. Robert Piamonte? Piamonte, I'm sorry.
All right, so I talked pretty loud anyway, so I don't know if I can. I came here really to talk most of. But at least I asked him that if he would mind if I made this public. He says no, he doesn't mind. He's on in 2 minutes. I have to paraphrase this down to read this free. But I'm gonna talk to this gentleman and more detail after we're done here. Basically, I was falsely accused and framed for a felony violent crime I did not commit. I worked at the legal cinemas on Diversity, Elston, and Westlake. For 2 days out of the week, I worked security from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. It's just a part-time job, so I'm handcuffed. I had a coworker of mine who was a pedophile. He was a 64-year-old man, his name was Donald S. Upton. And he made some comments about underage minor girls that were there for a birthday party and said that they looked good. And when I said, you realize that I'm 13 years old, and he says, that's okay, that makes it tighter. And I said, that is disgusting. And he said, I'm very curious to find out what it would be like. I reported those comments to the ownership of a security agency I work for, which is CCPSA, Executive Security Services, owned by David Weldell. David Weldell listened to me, but didn't comment. He didn't engage in no conversation. He didn't ask no questions. Found out later he's been friends with Donald Trump for 20 years. I then got a phone call later that week and I got fired. And I said, why am I getting fired? He said, because this is Illinois, and Illinois is the ethical state, not get hired and fire at will for any reason or no reason. And I said, this is because of me reporting Donald Trump, and he hung up the phone. The next morning, I went back to Regal Cinemas and I told Regal Cinemas corporate management there. His name is Craig, he's the general manager. He just listened. He said, this is unlike Donald, because he's been here for 2 years, so he's got here, but we haven't been here for 1 month, so that's what this was about. People believe him Because he was their law enforcement, whereas I had no credibility and I had no report. That night, I went back with my cell phone in hand, wanting to record him, get his voice on recording the videos, so I could prove it. I couldn't get into a video, so I went home. 3 weeks later, I was picked up by 14th District Patrol Team officers. Multiple plane, vehicles came up on me. There's all over the place. I was scared, to be honest with you. I says, what is this about? They says, are you Robert Telemonte? That's my name. I says, yes, I am. He says, you're under arrest. I says, for what? He says, felony aggravated assault with deadly weapon on a peace officer. I says, you got the wrong guy. They had a picture. They, no, that's you. Put me in handcuffs, took me to the 14th District. I was booked in.
Mr. Diamante, that ends your time. Thank you for sharing your comment.
You don't think that they want to know the rest?
Well,
That I didn't get to the best part.
I understand, but we do have a time constraint.
Yeah, but I asked this gentleman over here if it would be okay if I went a little bit over, and he says. No, I'm just asking for a little bit, I'm not asking for an hour.
If you could please summarize in 30 seconds, please.
I got pulled into the Cook County Jail. And I was there for 8 months. Wow. Living there in a jail cell for 8 months for a crime I did not commit. Donald Upton wanted to muzzle me because he saw me as a threat to his career, and to his life, and his freedom, and his liberty. The Cook County State Attorney's Office, Sean Abraham, ASA Sean Abraham, assumed that the Chicago Police Department did their job, which they did not. There was videotape proving I was holding my phone in my hand and not a gun. They said that I came into the movie theater and tried to kill Donald Upton and anyone else who got out of my way, painting me like I was an active shooter.
Okay, Mr. Diamante, I'm sorry, we're going to have to move forward.
What have to have my name on this paper? I mean, I don't want to pick, I'm public comment, I was just wondering, why didn't you just put it up?
And you'll see, we have a carved out in our meeting where we can expand on some of these items. Okay, our next speaker is going to be Austin Siegel.
Hey everyone, I'm Austin, and the director of the research at Chicago Office segment of the courts. I know we have people from the State's Attorney's Office here today. I guess I'm here to say Chicago Office recently published a report that highlighted a lot of pretty much most of the policies that the State Attorney's Office has put into place in Illinois first 5 days as State Attorney. In the report, we mainly identified the fact that the office has largely pulled away from the prior administration's focus on incarceration, police accountability, and transparency. I know today they're here to talk about a couple of their policies, a couple of the issues that people brought up, including the expedited felony review program, not prosecuting federal agents, and removing the free list. I guess I'm just here to say that we have detailed a lot of this in our report, so if anybody is interested in reading more about the policies after today's meeting, that's at chicagooffice.org/burke-500, or if you just look up Chicago Office in Burke, you'll be able to find it. And yeah, we're looking forward to speaking with the office next week about this as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Okay, and now we have Mitch Hutton.
I'm Rich, I live in a neighborhood, but I'm as fast as I can. I had somebody break into my house, April 10th. He was in my kitchen. I walked in and was standing there with the real estate agent. And I told him to sit down. I told him to call 911. He jumped up and punched me in the face, ran down the stairs. I chased him, lost him. I caught him a week later. And it took the cops an hour and a half to get to Wicker Park where I caught him. Then they brought me through this whole rigmarole and like I was the criminal. They bring me in a room. They don't tell me who they are, except for I knew a couple, but the woman that was there. And they treated me like I was they let him go right away. And then this guy, we had a court date with him. He didn't show up. There was more out his arrest. He has 140 court cases, 36 pages of offenses, breaking and entering, armed robbery, all this crap, and they let him go. But the police couldn't find us, but I could. Then last Thursday, I got, these guys are both homeless guys, by the way. I get jumped in front of my house because I asked this guy to quit tripping the kids that are walking home from school. He's laying on the ground, he's tripping all day, and I said, hey, you gotta leave. So you know what he tells me? No, fuck you and all this stuff. Then I go to call 911, he jumps up, punches me in the face, pushes me against the fence, and then he starts fighting with me. I throw him against the stop sign. Then Carl shows up, he sees me in distress. He goes on him with his dog in the middle. His dog's in the middle, this guy's punching Carl, punching him back. Then he proceeded down Boswell to Ashland, hitting every car, saying he's coming back with a gun. And
Mr. Hutton.
he insults an Amazon driver.
Mr. Hutton. Your time has expired, sir.
So that's the whole spiel of it. And we didn't get much operation from the cops.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any other public comments to be made?
We have one online.
We have one online, okay.
Yes, Irving Callen from the first ward says, I'd like to know why the Cook County State's Attorney refuses to make any moves in regards to ICE agents breaking the law within Chicago, abducting, killing, and holding neighbors without trial, and yet nothing from CCSA. And that's it for that one. And now there's a second one from, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name, Joanna Raymond from Ravenswood. Says the Illinois Accountability Commission has referred hundreds of pages of evidence to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office of ICE crimes and witness video. Is the Cook County State's Attorney's Office reviewing this evidence, or has it asked the Chicago Police Department to do it? And those are the last two.
Thank you for that. Do you have a public comment?
No. Trying to understand what's going on, I think I'm answering, can you get it all, what's going on, I'm
Okay, well, public comment is an opportunity for the community to come and voice their concerns. Like I said, we're about to go into what we call trends and concerns, which people can specifically point to issues such as dog attacks or hey, police are unresponsive to certain things. So we're about to get into that. As a matter of fact.
But when you give a person 2 minutes, I didn't know I only had 2 minutes. You don't even get to your public comment.
Sorry, part of the reason that, we try to limit the public comments to 2 minutes is because if it is more organic and natural, that could result in some people getting more time than other people, which would actually be a violation of a number of your rights and laws. So we do plan to have other discussion portions where it can be a little more free flowing. Apologize for the restriction of public comments.
Right, and as a matter of fact, that's what I was just alluding to,
Okay.
the trends and concerns. So where we could sit there and we could talk about specific items that we're gonna voice directly up to the police district for things that we want them to focus on, kind of like a rotating district strategic plan, if you will.
Gotcha.
All right, that being said, we're gonna get right into that portion of it. So trends and concerns, this is where, like I said, trends and concerns of the district, facilitated discussion with the room and, most prevalent trends and concerns in the district. So does anybody have trends and concerns that they would like to do? If you have an issue and you can wrap it up in a tiny box, we'd love to hear more about some of the things that were shared earlier.
You know. Well, if I can go, I mean, my concern was, I did not get any answers. I kept track of everything, everybody I called, we put it on. So I just feel that wasn't, they weren't meeting my needs as a citizen here, you know, and.
Did you have to go on twice for?
I had to go twice by the report because the first time when I called the enrolled here, they said they never got the report. Then the second time I asked for a copy of the SR number and the officer said, oh, we won't get that, I will email you or I'll call you. He never called. You know, it just went on and on and on. And like I said, this is happened May 16th, and every day I'm going through something else, trying to get this resolved. I was told to make a FOIA, I reported that through FOIA, and then I was told, oh, we have no information. I got an email back saying there was no FOIA, there was no reported. I finally did get a call, on June 3rd from Chicago Animal Care and Control, and it is filed now, and I do have, an SR number, but I can't do anything until I find the person who is the owner.
Okay.
So if you were looking for responses, briefly, my co-counselor Ashley Vargas, last year was pushing for a victim's bill of rights, which we would hope would help address some of the issues with victims feeling, out of place when bringing issues forward. That did not, pass in our body last year, but it's still something that we're looking for, speak more with her. Additionally, it seems like there was a different agency involved, animal control, which is, separate from CPD, but even within CPD, oftentimes, people do run into that like jurisdictional issue because we're the district council for the police station on Shakespeare in California. However, when cases are actually investigated, that's done by detectives, which is out of a completely different system, the Area 5. And those are separate, they're part of the same police department, but they're completely separate offices and units. So that is a common, complaint that we have heard, and it is an ongoing frustration. As far as if you are having issues with the 14th district specifically, or if you do need help with getting referrals with the detectives, you can contact the district counselors. That's one thing that we would hope to help you with in terms of constituent services. Thank you.
Well said, well said. As a matter of fact, a lot of people, and I'll get to you in just a moment there, Mr. Hutton. I know as a normal everyday person, citizen in the community, it's kind of mind boggling, like how this all comes together, like, because you're talking about three different entities, quite honestly. You're talking about animal care control, talking about CPD 14, and you're also talking about detectives. Very often, they don't communicate with one another. Basically, the beat officers, CPD 14, they'll file something up for an investigation, and they'll send it to the detective bureau, and the detectives, I'm certain they're good at their job and they work hard. I'm not here to denigrate any of the work that they do, but there should be a little bit more fluid conversation between status updates and things like that. And it's not isolated dog attacks, unfortunately, and I don't mean that to denigrate to diminish your cause. It's some serious and heinous things get, basically lost in the shuffle because of that lack of fluid communication. So, that's something I will talk directly with the commander about, and, hopefully I can get some headway with Area 5 detectives as well. As far as not just your issue, but everything in total, where we can work out some kind of cohesion, if you will. Mr. Hutton, you had something?
Yes, we don't have any police. And when we go to these meetings and tell the police they're not in our neighborhood, they never show up, they're never coming. They come here and they ticket the cars, and so they say they're here. Why don't we put a box up where they got key, so they don't have to ticket our cars anymore? So they show they're here. And second, the criminals are taking over the neighborhood. You've got, at 1 o'clock last Monday, they stole $8,000 out of the guys working on the deck. 2 guys, masked in an SUV, no plates on it, and they stole that. I got accosted by 2 homeless people, one in my building and one out on the street. No cops, they didn't show up when I called. They didn't even show up for the second incident. The first incident, they didn't do shit. They said, oh, there's no break-in, when there was obviously a break-in, because God didn't want to do the work. He didn't fingerprint anything. He said he wasn't gonna fingerprint it. And they let him go right over. And they claimed the safety act. Well, if that's the case, then the safety act needs to be repealed, because it's not safe for the victims. And there's been catalytic converters stolen, there's been airbags stolen in the neighborhood. There's people breaking into the cars. They're taking the stuff that they steal and they're bringing it over to the grocery store and putting the phones in the machine to get money. That's what that is, Mariana said. So, we need the cops here, there's no excuse, nothing. So what if they got a big district, they need to be here.
Yeah, I've lived here for 5 years and I've only seen 4 cruisers in the neighborhood in 4 years. And one was going to back up for us.
I was just trying to think that here's what because my car was also broken into, and when I didn't want to air that. And then when I filed a police report, I asked if I would, here, they said no. The next day, I moved my car to the street with me, someone else's car was also broken into, and we were stolen. So Michael's done, our community Facebook group, and other people were commenting that their car had been vandalized, so. I agree, like, I think we just need more police patrol in the neighborhood, because this could have been resolved, and now we're all paying, for the consequence of this, and now I have to pay to get my car fixed. It won't be done until a month, so it's just.
Well, I for one am very apologetic about, the lack of action that you seek, and I can understand the frustration. And I know it's a violating feeling when someone breaks into your vehicle and doesn't take anything. But when they do take something, it's even more egregious. Out of curiosity, because I know that the CAPS program has been issuing out clubs to kind of counter a lot of the airbag thefts. Have you been in touch with any of the CAPS meetings, or has anyone brought that to your attention quite yet?
No, I have a report in your group.
Okay, because I do know that last I heard they ran out, but they're trying to reach out to other districts to get more, because it's not, unfortunately, it's not just you that's going through that, suffering that offense. That's a mitigation factor that they're trying to employ, because if they have a plug across the steering wheel, they're not gonna be able to get that airbag out as well. So, once you get your car back, hopefully it's in short term. That's something to consider, to reach out to the CAPS program at 14 and see if you can get one of those clubs that they're handing out. Yes.
Just want to piggyback on what you're saying, that, I learned at the second police district council meeting, that, Hondas are particularly vulnerable.
Right, Honda CRV and Civics, I believe, are the 2 targeted vehicles. Doesn't mean anybody else is safe. It's just that they've got it down to a quick rapid succession to get them out of those particular vehicles.
Yeah, I want to quickly name that, I know the officer blamed the Safety Act, that officer was entirely lying, to be honest. Like, the Safety Act does not prevent them from, like, it does not actually.
Doesn't let them out of jail, because every one of those people I'm talking about got let out of jail, and they're finding criminals. You wanna read what he's done in his life? Don't give me, until you've been victimized, don't give me some bullshit story.
All right, let's,
Chris, just as an aside, who's taking Elizabeth Rio's place? Is she retired in CAPS?
right, Ms. Rios did retire, and as a matter of fact, that's in my updates.
No, sorry.
No, but as of right now, I know that they're looking for a replacement for her. I think someone else in the cadre at 14 CATS program is supposed to be serving interim, so there's that. Mr. Diamante.
Yes, look. Normal people, sane people, reasonable people want to believe that law enforcement are good guys. They want to believe that. Otherwise, we live in anarchy, we live in a third world country. We want to believe that we have law and order. But what I'm getting from my own story, and other people's stories, and other people I've talked to prior to this day, is that not all police, but some police are, and some police are lazy. Because in my personal situation, I talked to Commander Ricky Rivera, that's the name of the 14th district. And I actually had a cell phone number, and I talked to him that great thing that CAPS meeting about my situation. He's a good guy, all right, and I don't blame him. But when the TAC team picked me up and he took me back to the station, they were tunnel vision and believed that I did it. They didn't want to consider any possible angles. They were tunnel vision. They wanted to believe that I'm on duty in uniform security guard was telling the truth. And I said, there's 50 surveillance cameras all over Incentives. I promise you, if you pull up day at a time, it'll show you that I wasn't coming in with no fire alarm, ready to kill anybody. If you go there right now and watch the videotape, all you gotta do is, I work security there, there's a whole room of monitors. And they will, if you come in there with a badge and you say we're investigating on your property, you can sit on this board, right, the policy is they will show you the videotape, you won't even need to search for it. I said, go there right now and watch it, I'll wait here, while you go do it. They said, they don't have that anymore, I said, that's not true, they do. And sure enough, later on, the video did turn up. They need to look at the videotape.
My question is that severely
No, the owner of a security company that's good friends with Don Upton, he's a former CBD star. And they've been friends for 20 years. But anyways, the point being is that some of them are confident, some of them are lazy. Some of them are good, but the problem is that you're going to crap shoot the computer, and you don't know who you're gonna get. And it's gotta get better. It's gotta get better, because some people here are actually real victims, and then they're treating make-believe victims who aren't the make-believe.
Mr. Diamante, with all due respect, I do appreciate it, and I do want to hear the continuation of this and everyone else. No. In the essence of time, because we are under time constraint.
That's all.
Okay,
That's all.
actually look them up and use that already.
Okay,
Information.
okay, let's get it back into order here. Okay, yeah, one more, Miss Heyman.
Yeah, along the same lines, starting in January, part of the 2026 budget. On a monthly basis, PPD is supposed to send a report to the mayor and to 3 city council, committee heads. To report CPD officers who have received complaints for disciplinary action. It has not been done, as far as I can tell, at all. It was definitely not done on May 1st and March 1st. So, but I have gotten a more recent report. I mean, if this is not only something that was voted in by city council again, but it's also part of a consent. And it's a very critical piece of it in my mind, because it's talking about identifying the officers who are breaking, or ignoring people who have complaints against them and say, we're going to report a feedback. And that's why we have always, why we all have all these problems. We have, in my 14 too. And nobody pays any attention to it. You know, but if those reports were turned in, and we need to get our 14th district commander to give us a report monthly on what's happening regarding that in the 14th district. And we need to push on it and not just say, oh, let's get rid of these officers who are not doing their job, who are hurting other people. And it's now the law again, a recent new law that we need to take advantage of. And we need to push the commander, who also, by the way, has a few complaints. And discipline action area, that goes to them. They're in the past, they're less. He probably doesn't want to push it, because he's done it himself. So we need to make sure that this happens. The other thing I wanted to say also, you know, you mentioned Liz Rios. I've worked with Liz for 30-something years. First it'd be 1431 to 25 years, and more recently it'd be 1414. And she has a friend that is sad because she will be missed definitely in these meetings. And who's going to replace her? So far, I've heard nothing, and it's very concerning. I mean, Mike, he's out of the UTC, he's done a decent job, you know, but again, he's fairly new, he doesn't have a long time history, but there's that. So it's a real loss to all of us that have her on. So I do hope you get her.
I'm sure the retirement will deserve, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I was doing, you know, all kinds of street actions and stuff, I do with the police back then. Back in the nineties, the might be 1431, so yeah, everything on the roll calls on the corner. Yeah, we got it.
All right.
So, I mean, she will definitely be this, and we need to get a replacement in as quickly as possible. So I just wanted to bring that up too, because I really think it's important that we're not left without a community organizer in the 14th district, that right now we don't have. As far as I know.
You're absolutely correct. Like I said, they're trying to find someone that can fill the spot in interim. And I know that the city is currently looking to hire more people for the CAPS programs to fill some of those other roles.
They're gonna cover that.
Can we have a community from our community here to meet with them?
Well, as a matter of fact, that kind of rolls right into what we would normally have, because just the next portion of our meeting would usually be a briefing by the 14th Police District. Unfortunately, Commander Rivera wasn't able to attend today. He did send a note earlier in the week to let us know that I perceived it as he wasn't going to be here. But apparently he's not going to have anybody here primarily because of Puerto Rican festivities that they're ramping up for this weekend. I know that it's not an excuse per se, but I can understand CPE being understaffed as they are. It is a big ask for them to come out and take time out of their busy schedule to accommodate this, which is in the GO 111. So they're supposed to be here. I think we gave them a pass because of the festivities coming up this weekend. Hopefully, he will continue to come back to our meetings on a regular basis personally, rather than sending someone else.
Maybe you're honest with that, why don't you make sure that he shows up for the August meeting?
I don't know, it's the air and water show, so.
That's not enough.
Well, plus the air and water shows later in the month. We gotta, I back here.
Sorry, yeah, about for the discussion of trends.
I'm sorry?
A mic.
Is it possible to get a mic for the discussion of trends?
We have a microphone right here.
Yes, I guess related to some of the comments that have already been shared, some trends that I see are various forms of tunnel vision that I think that we have in Chicago and within CPD that don't follow and don't adhere and don't respect evidence-based practices when it comes to achieving public safety gains and addressing our public safety deficits that we have in our city. So number one, in reference to what had previously been shared, from reporting or from reports published through the University of Chicago, it's been reported that there's a demonstrated pattern in practice of sexual harassment and sexual intimidation of Black minors in the city, Black children. And so I think that that needs to gesture towards the truth of our city and the truth of our institutions, not necessarily every member of an institution, because let's not be childish and infantile and pretend that we can't understand the differences in scale between the individual and the institutional and the systemic. But our institutions, including policing, as evidence in that university report, show that the police, among other agencies, are the defense arms of the Epstein class. And so with the discussion underway of what we consider today, as a mandated reporter, we need a radical reframing of the situation that we're facing and how to address it. And on the issue of victimization, we can't just say, just because I've had a certain experience or I occupy a certain social position or identity, that what I say is correct or the approach I'm taking is right. It sounds to me like it's unclear if you should be investigated for kidnapping and unlawful detainment, to be honest. And again, whether you're, even if you have been victimized, that doesn't mean that you're right. Other victims have other points of view that respect and honor evidence-based practices instead of deadly, reckless, infantile solutions that make people feel good, but make all of us less in all of our kids' lessons. And when it comes to being a victim, the question isn't, am I a victim, so I have authority? The question is, as a survivor, are the solutions and approaches I advocate, do they make future survivors that are more vulnerable than me better off or worse off? So we need to get real and grow up.
Thank you for that. All right, so before we move forward, during this discussion, I asked, my colleague, Council Orlikoff, to, review the minutes. And we'll go ahead and approve those if there are no, objections or amendments, of which, Council Orlikoff did note the misspelling of Ms. Hayman's last name. It's a single M, double N, for the record.
I already looked.
Okay, any objections from you, Council Vargas? Okay, hearing no objections or other amendments, we'll go ahead and, pass these by unanimous consent with the corrections that were noted. Thank you. All right, and the agenda is, even though we're kind of halfway through it. All right, so we can go ahead and mark the agenda approved as well. All right, and we have no update from the commission this time around. I know they just had a meeting, and I'm certain that they're getting the reports together for us for further dissemination in our next meeting. And as I mentioned, Commander Rivera and his staff were unavailable to join us today. And we also have reports from the counselors, which we asked in advance if we could maximize our time with our guests here today by submitting those via writing, which will be submitted to CCPSA staff.
Not clear.
Is this better? Okay, all right, sorry about that. All right, so in advance of the when we put together the agenda, knowing that we had a guest presentation coming in, which we worked diligently and made all kinds of fiery hoop jumping going on, that we asked that we submit our reports in writing to our CCPSA staff, and those will be forthcoming too. All right, that being said, we're going to move past the discussion for the time being, but I'd like to welcome our guest presentation from the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. I'm going to call you Ethan because I forgot your last name. If you can let us know once you get up here.
Yeah.
And that mic is mobile. You can walk around with it if you'd like. And I believe we have a slide deck as well. Thanks so much.
First of all,
All right, I just want to say fuck the quorum that's been happening thus far in this meeting, because it's honestly fuck the quorum, right? People came here to get answers to tough questions that they want to see answered. People are expressing concerns about crime, people are expressing.
All right, you can either respect the decorum or you can leave.
But these district counselors, what they're doing.
You can either respect the decorum of this meeting or you can leave. You can respect the decorum or you can leave.
Quorum. I want to start off by saying that I really appreciate the.
You can leave. You can leave.
What we're seeing, like, this system is fucked up, right? The police, the state attorney's office, they're not doing anything to actually help people. People who are asking, oh, maybe we need more officers, maybe we need more law enforcement. Go to the west and the south side. What exists there is a contradiction. There's a whole bunch of fucking cops and a whole bunch of fucking crime. More cops does not equal less crime. That just does not happen. But instead, it means a bunch of fucking people getting locked up in mass in fucking Cook County jail, right? With no resolution to the crime. People have the same fears that you have in those neighborhoods. They attend these kinds of fucking meetings looking for some kind of solution, but no, the police don't do nothing for them, absolutely fucking nothing for them, right? That's why we need to band together. That's why we actually need to confront the police and these fucking state attorney people, because they're not the solution to stopping crime, like we are. This system creates crime. This system creates the problems that we have, and it's up to us to fucking rise up. And I can show you a clear example of the way in which officers operate under this system. They don't stop crime. At best, they clean shit up. At worst, they fucking contribute to that shit. Police officers kill people. 8,000 people have been killed since 2020, since the 2020 rebellion getting locked up for doing Severino Villegas Gonzalez, right? Who is facing felony charges thanks to your fucking office, people who are actually standing up against ICE terror, who tried to defend their neighborhoods when ICE was here, who tried to defend their neighborhoods against killer cops. These motherfuckers, where are you going? You think that you can come in here and not have people challenge or question what you do in terms of locking people up, in terms of letting killers literally be on the streets freely? ICE was in Albany Park this week. ICE was in Albany Park this week. ICE was here, kidnapped, and they have been, and they will continue to be. And these motherfuckers are here to get what kind of law. So that's real, okay? I encourage other people in this room right now. If you want to share and voice your opinion, fuck this decorum. Fuck this decorum is happening. People are suffering. People are dying. People's loved ones have been murdered by the police. People have been brutalized by ICE. Families are getting separated.
One of the things people might want is to make commands and comments. Another thing people might want is also to ask questions to get answers to.
What answers? People have commented already.
Questions that we want, we'd like to get answers.
Right now, take the time.
There was a question earlier that was asked, I think, let's take time on that, which was in the public comments question, which we'd like to hear from probably. If you are reviewing any of that evidence from the by state capitals, or if you're referring that to these, but also I know that you as well have a presentation. But people may be interested in questions as well as maybe comments on, so just pointing that out.
Okay, say something, I'm gonna leave you.
Yes.
Like, we're going after me, all the complaints, all the crime, all the fines, and there's nobody gives no type of answer. So the question that I have, these two officers killed my husband, shot him 16 times, and the state attorney, a year and 3 months later, testified to a man with no gun, a man that's dying, a man that weighs 137 pounds, they murdered him 16 times in my front door, and then they had a truck behind him, and then they could go be on the street. This officer murdered a 19-year-old child when he was face down on the ground, but he's still an officer. The state attorney just found that they didn't want them to war for. What is that?
Okay, we're gonna ask that we return to decorum.
What decorum? I haven't heard any answers. This is frustrating.
If we're not gonna return to decorum, then we're adjourning the meeting.
What decorum? Black kids getting an answer.
Time now is 6:57 PM. We are adjourned.
I want to wear this statement concern too. Miss Donna Johnson of Harvey, Illinois' child was killed by the police, killed by state troopers.